Hey guys, Joe here from JCS-Charting. It's Friday evening, the 2nd of August, and we're going to have a look at the DAX, the US markets, and also at the Euro US dollar. We jump right into our Discord. I just opened the daily thread from the 21st of July. I saw a lot of fake shoulder head shoulder patterns on X, on YouTube as well. And then I came up with that post 2 weeks ago, which said on the daily DAX, I got 1880 as an important trigger. Last Friday, the EMA 50 got lost, which makes 18080 to become the daily magnet. That is this red line right here. Once it breaks on the close, the sequence should lead us to the low of April 19th. And this low is at 17.626. Now we can talk about a potential shoulder pattern at the top. And let's hop into the current live daily chart. So same chart, it's a daily etc. chart. The European markets have closed already. Only the futures are still running with the US markets. You see that potential shoulder pattern. A lot of people were drawing a line through here, and guys, that angle is way too steep for a proper shoulder pattern. So if we want to talk about it, this one here is like a proper one. You have like a very nice horizontal line, and here's our 18080 level. DAX closed there right at that level yesterday, gapped down, and then it finished that red sequence all the way down to 17.648. I personally started buying DAX here today. I'm not recommending anything, but I still see that as an opportunity of at least 300 to 500 points. We are also in the middle of a subcycle low, actually on the far end of that time frame. And here was also, by the way, quite a lot of order flow at DAX. We were hitting that low today in week 15 of a potential major cycle bottom. And since we are now already at the start of the primary cycle, which started right here, and we are obviously in the left-hand translation because we couldn't get over that top, which is also the all-time high of that primary cycle. This whole cycle is bearish, and I would be very surprised if we finish that in week 15. So I expect a bounce here, a solid bounce. It doesn't have to come that high. It might be only to 18,000 and that's it, or even lower. We might end up with having a tiny right shoulder. And then I assume there will be more selling into the end of August. We stay within the daily time frame. What you see here is the DAX and the VDAX. The VDAX is the volatility index of the DAX, which is nothing more than the VIX of the S&P. It's the same thing. And this morning I told my members we're going for positive divergence, which means here you have a low and there you have a lower low, and we had a high at the VDAX, and in the morning we had a lower high, and that was actually a very nice positive divergence at that point. But then out of a sudden in the afternoon, that VDAX exploded to the upside, and we ended up with over 30% here at the top into the close. Usually that tells me there's something really wrong under the surface whenever volatility spikes up by that much. However, there's also a correlation between the VDAX whenever it jumps out of the Bollinger Bands like that and a low at the index. We had the same here. It jumped out here and then it came down. I mean, DAX were more or less like tumbling here and moving out very slowly, and it looked very corrective on the bigger time frames. And here today we had the same thing. And there's also a correlation whenever there is a rise in volatility. It doesn't matter if it's the VX and the VIX, the VDAX. Whenever there's a rise above 10%, there is usually within the next up to 2 days after that, a volatility crash into the opposite direction. Not by that much. I mean, this can be also seen as a breakout, but usually there is a pullback in volatility, which means usually the index is rising, and that could fit right into our right shoulder view or outlook we have on the DAX. I'm going to show the Euro US dollar quickly here because it worked out such nicely what we were setting up yesterday here. It's an hourly time frame, and we were entering right here at that 138% yesterday of that red sequence. We came up in the first few hours, but then we kept retesting that level several times, and then this afternoon we completely exploded to the upside. We had that green sequence, we had that green target line, but we are still holding our position because we are going for a daily target, which I show you in a minute. It's actually out of the weekly. You see here a symmetrical triangle which has not triggered yet. I was posting that somewhere down here the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I kept saying there's a third touch missing right at that upper trend line to be triggered. It runs next week at 109.55 roughly, and whenever that thing triggers, usually it does a little fake out to the upside and then it pulls back into the triangle. There might be another fake out to the downside or just into here. When I zoom out here a little bit, you see the latest trend is actually up, and usually these triangles are used to consolidate in the latest trend. So that would mean the trend is up, this is a consolidation, and there should be another leg up to the upside. We'll see if that is the case in the next few months. This is also a daily chart. We see the NASDAQ right now. It's also a very nice shoulder pattern, a tiny right shoulder. We have a nice running horizontal neckline, and here's a breakout, and here we were hitting the first target of that shoulder pattern. I put in here a temporary buy zone. We bounced off there in the first place. The second went a bit further down. I said the close has to be still within it. It ended up being in the green zone. We rallied up like 600 points, and now we sold off everything. We are about to trigger 18,664 to the downside. There's still an open target, the 100% target of the shoulder pattern, and there's also that low from the 31st of May. And there are also plenty of targets of that red sequence. It doesn't mean we have to hit that today or next week. Whenever we trigger that, there might be another pullback to the upside before we are running into these targets. We stay at the NASDAQ. You see a weekly chart this time. It's a cash chart. I just put in simple retracement lines from that low we made in October 2022, and this is an all-time high we just made in July. You see these 4 large selling bars, and today the current low was at the 23.6 retracement at 18,271, which is the smallest retracement we usually have in a correction. I think there's a bit more to the downside. You also see that low here at 18,189. We might get a bit further down today, but also here I expect some kind of bounce into the beginning of August before we decline further. The next step here would be that low 18,973, which matches almost that 38.2 retracement at 16,775. Here we got the Dow Jones. You see the all-time high at 41,414. Then we had the first leg down into that 39,800 area. We were triggering right here that red sequence at 41.42, and then we did, after usually that triggers, we might see the same today by the way, we were rallying up, we were configuring that green sequence here at 48.52 quite early. We had a very clean hit here at the first place. Usually these clean hits are very bearish, but this one turned out to be bullish with this candle because we closed it above that green 100%, and then we were hitting the min target, the second min target at 41.247, which is also, it likes to be a turning point, which I showed earlier on the euro US dollar, before selling off for the second leg. How did we know there's a second leg? Well, most people say there's a simple ABC. I say, well, that 100% level got triggered, and it has min targets usually in this area, and now we had a very, very clean hit of 39.355, which is the 161%. And if I zoom out here a bit, you see also that red bearish Wilbur wave, and the target line is much, much deeper, somewhere in that 38 area, and there's a new trigger at 39.464, which needs an H4 close below, or even better as a daily close. So whenever we close that candle here presently below that trigger level, that opens new min targets up here, and it also opens the 161 at 38.258. That might be the case today, but as I said before, even if we break through here, there's usually a pullback in which we can enter to go for that bearish Wilbur wave or for that red sequence to short the Dow Jones. Yeah, it's still the Dow Jones weekly time frame. You see a very clean rising channel. We had a little spike out here 2 weeks ago, but it reversed immediately, and this week we tested that upper boundary once again, which was also our 127%, which is our min target of the weekly targets we got. And down here you see our cycle brackets, and there's a low suggested after summer. That's what I can say. If you want to know more about it, you're welcome to sign up at JCS-Charting.com. We have a lot of markets I analyzed there, and so far my members are overwhelmed and really like that service. There are 2 packages you can buy. I put the link in the description if you want to become a member of mine. Last but not least, the S&P 500, it's a 4-hour time frame from JFD again. I must say my analysis on this one failed. It was good until here, but then we completely turned around, got that large black bar, but I can't be right all the time. You have to be flexible at the stock market, so am I. So I came up with a new strategy, and this one was 53.89, which is our new bearish red trigger to the downside. I gave that my members earlier, and we were hitting already the first min target at 53.13. 52.82 might come up next even tonight, and the bonus is at 52.16. Note, there is a large positive RSI divergence here on the H4 time frame. So that means a rally like that could happen at any time. So be aware of that. I don't think that will be the case today. I expect that actually on Monday or Tuesday that will also fit that VIX rise. It's the same as the VDAX. There was over a 30% rise. Again, there can be something wrong under the surface, but I believe there is usually a pullback in volatility, and they usually crush it after a spike like that. So a bounce is overdue. We are very oversold, so it could happen at any time. Yeah, we are done. That's about it. If you enjoyed this video, you're welcome to leave me a like or a nice comment. And if you just want to know more about not even price or silly chart patterns. If you want to know more about timing and stuff, you are welcome to sign up. As I said, the link is in the description, and I wish you a nice sunny weekend. Thank you and bye-bye.